Hello, everyone. It's been a while since I posted here. I actually don't remember how long it's been since I posted. And I know, if you've seen my channel for a while, you noticed that I used to have a lot of videos up. And now I think I only have like two up. Yeah. So as far as the other videos, I decided to private them so that only a few people have access to them. Because I realized that some of them had information that I was like, it might be a little too private information, or might be information that might be a little too doxing. So I decided just to private them. I mean, there might be a couple videos that I make public again, but so I'm gonna decide about that within about the next month or two. But I guess I want to make this video because basically based off conversations I've had with some of my friends, some of my classmates, things we were, just talking to each other about, things we agreed on. Um, but first of all, happy Thanksgiving. Um, it is currently 4:30 p.m. on November 27th, 2025. And so I wrote down just a few things that I'm thankful for, and this will all make sense later why I'm saying all this. So one is thankful for my family support throughout third and fourth year of medical school. Med school is tough, you can't make it through by yourself without support, and having your family being there as part of your support system is very important, and it's something that no one should take for granted. Second thing I'm thankful for, some of the friends who've checked up on me along the way, especially during my step 1 dedicated and my step 2 dedicated. So to you guys out there, you know who you are. So thank you very much for checking up on me. It meant a lot more than I may have let on, right? You have no idea how helpful some of that was, or how much it meant to me. Third thing that I'm thankful for, I made it past step 1 and step 2. For those of you who aren't aware, step 1 is an 8-hour exam, 7 blocks. And the reason why it's 8 hours is that each of the 7 blocks is 1 hour, right? But you have 8 hours because you have an hour worth of break, and you can break it up however you want it, right? So for example, some people take, for step 1, a 7-minute break between some of the blocks, right? So it evens it out. So at the end of the day, it's like an 8-hour exam because they give you an hour worth of break, assuming you skip the 15-minute tutorial at the beginning of the exam. And I'm grateful for making it past step 2, because that is a 9-hour exam. It's 8 sections. Each section is an hour each. And of course, you still have that 1 hour worth of break that you can distribute however you want it, right? So I guess that's kind of like an advantage. Like, you kind of get to choose how much each break is worth, but also it's like you also have to keep all that in mind. And if you accidentally run over in one break, you have to realize that the next break has to be a little shorter, but it's okay. The fourth thing I'm thankful for, and is the fact that I have received some interview invites, or just, how about this? I'm thankful for the interview invites I've gotten from the internal medicine residencies that I've applied to. I'm very thankful for the fact that they want to interview me, and I'll just leave it at that. Fifth one I'm thankful for. Okay, if you know, you know. How do I say this without revealing too much information? There was an elective that I registered for next semester, and some of the people who were actually, like, the people who were doing the elective, they made some decisions in which they were pulling back from teaching the elective. So I emailed them asking, hey, like, is it true that you're not teaching this elective anymore? I need to know so that I can coordinate with my school while I still have time to try to substitute that elective with another elective, right? Because for fourth year, you can, it's much easier to change your schedule during the year. So I emailed them, I was like, hey, like, I need to know, like, so I can reach out to one of the professors at my school to try to, like, rearrange my schedule, so that I can fulfill my requirements for fourth year. Thankfully, they said that because I had submitted my request, I think in March or something, but whenever my class and I were making our fourth year schedules, because I submitted it then, and I haven't changed it, they will still honor my request and teach me next semester during my 4-week elective with them. So I'm very grateful for that. If you know, you know. I can't say any more about that. Number 6, another thing I'm grateful for are all the attendings, the fellows, and the residents who have been super nice to me during the past year, especially during my 3rd and 4th year. I'm very grateful that some of the attendings, fellows, and residents I met, they were super helpful to me. You know, they were very much willing to teach me both like the knowledge I needed to get through all my tests, but also like, you know, just practical knowledge, you know, basically like how to be a physician and all that stuff. And I'm also grateful to those who let us out at, you know, a relatively decent time so that we would have enough time to study for ourselves and do well on ourselves. So I'm very grateful for all those. I'm also grateful for the, I can't say that person's name, but I'm grateful for the 1 to 10ing that I worked with for helping me with a research project I was trying to get off the ground. And I was able to get a poster presentation out of that. So I'm very grateful to that 1 to 10ing. So yeah. The 7th thing I'm grateful for, some of the new friends I've made along the way. They're really cool. So that's all I'll say about that. Because I don't think I can say more without like accidentally doxing them either, you know? So you know who you are, so thank you. And the 8th thing I'm thankful for is the fact that the Cowboys defense got an upgrade recently. So if you haven't been able to tell by now, I am very much a Cowboys fan. And I have went to some of their home games before, and I'm hoping that I get to see them again this December, and I'm hoping that they win this December. So those are like the 8 things that I'm grateful for this year. And the reason why I created this list is because I was talking to one of my buddies, and the conversation eventually got to the fact that for those of us who want to be a physician, you know, we spend, of course, you have to have the 4 years of college, right? You got to go through 4 years of college, get a degree. And then after that, depending on if you feel like your resume is strong enough, you can apply straight to medical school, where medical school is 4 years. And then after that, you have to apply to residency, which depending on the specialty, for example, internal medicine, pediatrics, family medicine is 3 years, or even longer residency, such as integrated plastic surgery being 6 years, or neurosurgery being 7 years, or even general surgery being 5 years, right? And then on top of residency, you know, when you graduate residency, you are a fully fledged physician, you've been licensed and all that. But for those who want to specialize even further, that's even more training on top of that. For example, if you want to be a vascular surgeon, usually what you do is you do 5 years of general surgery, then you do a year of vascular surgery. Or let's say you want to be a cardiologist, you do 3 years of internal medicine residency, and then after that, you do 3 years of cardiology fellowship. You know, so you know it's a long process. And so basically we're talking about like how we have some friends from like high school, college, you know, they've moved on, they've, you know, gotten started their careers and whatnot, and they have more free time than us, right? Because, you know, they're making money, they get to go and spend it, whereas we're still here, we're still in school, and we feel like we're missing out on life, you know? And we feel like we look at them and see what they have, and we look at ourselves like, man, I wish I had that. Or it's like, man, like, why don't I have that, you know? And so really why we were talking about that is because we have to reframe the situation. You know, it's like, yes, you know, we're missing out on things that our friends who didn't travel down this path are experiencing. But in the long term, you know, we will get there. We will get to the things that we want to get to. Because yes, medicine's a long journey, you know, but it will be worth it at the end. You know, for example, 4 years of college, you know, I graduated in 2022. Now I'm in my 4th year of medical school. I graduate next year in 2026. Hopefully I match into an internal medicine residency program that likes me. And then if I do, then I won't graduate until 2029. So basically, if I stop at internal medicine, I won't get like I won't be an attending until like 2029. You know, I'll be 29 years old by then. You know, and so it's gonna take a while, but it's worth it in the end. So the biggest lesson from that is like, try not to compare yourself to others, because everybody moves through life at their own pace. Um, you know, life, like medicine, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. It doesn't matter how you start necessarily. What really matters is how you finish the race, you know? So, for example, for you pre-meds out there who see your friends get into medical school right out of undergrad, that's okay, you know? Take your time. Don't feel like you have to rush into it if you're not ready. Because at the end of the day, once you're a physician, your patients, it won't matter to them if you took a gap year between undergrad or medical school, you know? Because what they care about is, are you going to be a good physician who listens to what they have to say, you know, and are you going to treat them accordingly, you know? So that's the thing. So try not to compare yourself to others. And I also want to make a side note about comparing yourself to others. I think that for those of you who aren't going through medical school, for those of you who aren't going down the route, to being a physician, you know, I believe that there's a lot more of us who have, imposter syndrome, right? We feel like we don't belong in medical school. We feel like it's like, did we make the right choice in going down this career field that just takes so long before we can start our careers? And to that, I want to say, it's natural to feel like you don't belong. It's natural to feel like you're out of your depth. I mean, I feel that sometimes too, but I think the important thing is acknowledging it first and realizing that there are many others who feel the same way. And as long as you don't give up and as long as you keep pushing forwards, then you will make it. You will belong. Because here's the thing. During orientation for medical school, they said that if we didn't think that you could succeed, if we didn't think that you could make it through, we wouldn't have let you into the school. And so to medical students, to my fellow medical students out there who feel like they don't belong, you do belong. Because if you didn't belong, the school would not have let you in the first place. If they didn't believe you could succeed, they wouldn't have let you in the first place. All right, so that's one thing. Another thing we're talking about is, sometimes people think like success is like how many, like just being successful in general is like how many victories you have, right? Or, or like how many times you like won at something. But that's not the whole story, I will say that a big part of, being successful in whatever you want to do, right? Which path you choose is learning how to overcome the failures that you will face in life, and I will say that, yeah, going through failure, it sucks, nobody wants to go through it. It's soul crushing, right? It's devastating. But what differentiates someone who is successful from someone who may not be as successful is how do they deal with that failure, right? Like, are they going to just curl up into a ball and remain there, or are they going to process their emotions, pick themselves up, dust themselves off, and keep going at it again, And so I say, like, to all of you out there, especially medical students, if you face a setback in medical school, it's not the end of the journey, right? You being successful is going to depend on how you deal with that setback. And I just want to say, like, process your emotions in the moment, Yes, it's heartbreaking, it's devastating, but understand that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. You just have to pick yourself back up, ask for help, ask for resources, and be able to just keep pushing forwards, right? Because a part of it, of like being able to pick yourself back up, is how badly do you want to succeed? How badly do you want to achieve your dreams? And as long as you keep that hope alive, and as long as you are able to pick yourself back up and gather the resources that you need, you will be successful. It may take a little longer than you want, but don't give up. Keep going at it and you will be successful. Another thing I wanted to mention, because I had a conversation with a buddy of mine, or especially for medical students, research opportunities, right? I will say this, you know, whatever medical school you go to, whatever institution you're at, you know, they're going to offer like research projects, you know, and don't be afraid to ask, you know, to be able to join that project. Or let's say you're in an area that may not have as much research, right? Don't be afraid to ask an attending if they have a project going on, right? Don't be afraid to ask, you know, if there's anything that's worse and if you could help out. Because, you know, when I was like trying to look for research, right, I reached out to an attending of mine, and I said, hey, like, you know, I'm trying to get some research done. I want to get like a poster presentation done. Do you have any projects in the work, or is there any way you can help me? And like, for example, these are the list of things I've done before. Like, is it possible that we can make another project out of, or in that builds on top of a previous one that I did? You know, and luckily, my attending said yes. You know, there was something that I could do to build on top of the project that I had done previously. So that's how I ended up with another poster presentation with more data that previously I would not have been able to got if I did not have the courage to ask that attending for help and for guidance. So, you know, don't be afraid to ask for research opportunities, and don't be afraid to ask for help, right? Because the thing is, the journey to becoming a physician, it's long, it's hard, and you can't make it through by yourself. You're gonna need help, you know, along the way. So just don't be afraid to ask for help, and don't feel like, you know, embarrassed to ask for help, because I guarantee you, that attending that you might be afraid to ask, I guarantee you they had help when they're going through training to make it to the other side. So don't be afraid to ask for help, or don't be afraid to ask for the research opportunities, right? Yeah, because you never know what's available out there if you don't ask. And so the last thing I want to talk about, or last thing I just want to mention really quickly before I finish this video that's gone on long enough, is don't let your failures define you, right? Don't let them define you negatively, because there's always more than one way to look at a failure. I mean, you can look at it one way, it's like objectively, like, oh my gosh, I didn't succeed, like, you know, it's all over. Or what you do is, like, if you fail but you pick yourself back up, you could say, yes, you know, I didn't succeed at something, but look at how I picked myself back up. That shows that I have the ability to work through and overcome any setbacks I face. Like, it shows that you will have the tools to overcome whatever setbacks you face and succeed and make it to the other side. And I would argue that is one of the most valuable tools that anyone can have in their toolbox, you know? So to those out there who may be struggling, those out there who have just gone through failure, especially through medical school, I just want to let you know that it's not the end of the road. I want you to pick yourself back up, and I want you to keep going. Don't give up, all right? Because I guarantee you that it's going to be worth it in the end. And, you know, I guess, you know, that's all the things I want to talk about. So, you know, again, like, happy Thanksgiving. I know I was rambling a little bit in this video, but this was kind of just a last minute thing I wanted to make for those of you who just who feel like this may help you. And if this video does help you, I just want to say thank you, you know. So that's about it. So again, you know, happy Thanksgiving. I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season, you know, and I hope that no matter what you're going through right now, that you will be able to have the strength and the courage to make it through to the other side. All right. Until next time, guys. Until next time.